Quranic Arabic webinars. This lesson is about Maddah, which is the elongation of sounds. Objectives: to learn the rules of elongation of long vowel sounds, to understand when the Maddah sign will be written, to briefly look at the single letters and how the Maddah sign is used with them, although the single letters will be covered in another lesson. So what we're talking about here is at the beginning of some surahs you see these single letters. A typical one is Yasin, and we've got a whole different lesson on that. However, some of those letters have the Maddah sign on them, so we're going to cover it briefly within this lesson. To understand how to read the Alif Maqsura if it carries the Maddah sign. And we're going to compare the Uthmani and Majidi scripts as we go along. So the Maddah sign. The Maddah sign is a small wavy sign. On your keyboards, or in English this would normally be known as the tilde. It indicates that an elongation of a sound is to be done, i.e. the sound is to be stretched for a certain amount of time, and we're going to learn all the rules around this. So this is the Maddah sign on top of an alif. So it's a bit like, or it is rather, the tilde sign that you get on your normal keyboards or in the English language. Okay, now we're going to have a look how the Maddah sign is used for all different purposes. So the first one here is what we call Alif Maddah. When Hamza with Fatha is followed by the long vowel Alif, it can be written as an Alif Maddah. This will be pronounced as normal, 2 lengths long, just like any Fatha Alif long vowel. You will normally find the Hamza written with the Alif rather than the Alif Maddah in the Holy Quran. So let's explain that. Here we have Hamza, Fatha and Alif. Now another alternate way of writing those two is to write just an Alif with the Maddah, and that is actually called the Alif Maddah. But again, you will normally not find this in the Holy Quran. You'll find it written separately as Hamza, Fatha, Alif. So looking at the Holy Quran, these are some examples of Hamza, Fatha, Alif. So the first one we've got, and again this is Uthmani, is Amana. So it's too long, just like a normal long vowel that we've done in the long vowel lessons. The next one is a very familiar word, and you can see it here. It's the Qur'an. Okay, and the an there is too long. And below we have the same two written in the Majidi script, and you can see here what they've done is they've written the Alif with a short Alif on top of it, or the dagger Alif, to indicate it's too long. And the reason they normally do not write the Alif Maddah is because the tilde sign, or the wavy Maddah sign, is normally used for sounds that are greater than too long. So instead of using it for sounds instead of using it for the sound which is too long, in our case the Hamza Fatha Alif, they either write it as just pure Hamza Fatha Alif, or they use the small dagger or short Alif on top of the Alif itself, so that people do not get confused with the lengths. Now just a word of warning here. One of the words you will find the Hamza Fatha Alif is in the word Akhirah. So here we've got it, and it's written as so this is just taken out of a line of the Holy Quran. You've got lal akhirata. Now be very careful here, because we did learn that you can have the Hamza sitting on an Alif. Now in this particular word, the Hamza and Fatha is slightly before the actual Alif in the Lam Alif. Hence this is actually Lam, Hamza, Fatha, Alif. Okay, so you've got to be a bit careful there. It's a bit of a tricky one, and in a lot of prints the Hamza, Fatha will be slightly even more before the actual Alif. And down below we have the Majidi version. They've made it easy for us because they've simply put the Alif with the short Alif or dagger Alif on top to indicate it's too long. So that first one in the Uthmani script, be a bit careful with that. That is not a Hamza sitting on an Alif, it's Hamza before an Alif. Now we're going to look at elongation of the long vowel sounds. So we learned in previous lessons about these long vowel sounds. So we've got the Fatha Alif, the Kasra Ya, and the Dhamma Waw. Now if they are followed by certain things, they're going to be stretched in their lengths of pronunciation. So the first one is if you have one of these long vowel sounds, which are normally too long, and it's followed by a Hamza in the same word, then it's going to be stretched. Now the lengths for which these are stretched will vary depending which book you look at, who you learn from. So I've put the most common ones. So if you get a lot of the color-coded Tajweed Qurans, it will say 4 to 5 long, and some other books will say 4 long. Okay, so to be safe, if you go for the 4 long in length, so we're going to pronounce it 4 times long instead of 2, then you're safe. The second rule is if any of the long vowels are followed by a Hamza, and the Hamza is actually in the next word, i.e. it's the first letter of the next word, then you pronounce it either 4 to 5 long, or in some books they'll say 2 or 4 long. So again, if you stick to the 4 long, you'll be safe. And the last one is if any of these long vowels are followed by a sakin letter, and this by definition also includes any mushaddad letter, i.e. a letter carrying the shadda, because the shaddad letter again is effectively a sukoon, one of the letters with sukoon, i.e. sakin, followed by the letter with its own vowel sound, and we've covered that in the lesson on shadda or gemination. If that occurs, i.e. the long vowel is followed by a letter with sakin or mushaddad, then it's definitely going to be 6 long. Okay, so if you follow the colors in red here, it keeps it nice and simple. So if you have a long vowel followed by Hamza in the same word, pronounce the long vowel as 4 long instead of 2. If it's followed by Hamza in the next word, same thing, make it 4 long. And if it's followed by a letter with sukoon, i.e. sakin letter or a mushaddad letter, then go for 6 long. A note here, elongation can also happen with the alif